And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents live in Los Angeles. I am pretty excited about today's show. I'm always excited, but I'm normally really excited when I get to have a guest in person, and not just any guest. I have the one, the only, the incomparable Dr. Velma Bagby is joining me in Los Angeles today. We're going to talk with her about a lot of things. One, why she decided to make the 3-hour trip to see me here in Los Angeles, but also about her extraordinary year. And as I have mentioned to you guys before, Black Friday. Black Friday sales have started today here on Amazon. So if you guys are joining us on the Amazon platform, make sure you guys do hit that follow button to stay connected with all of our programming. Have some great items to share with you guys while I'm here in Los Angeles. Dr. Velma is going home with some flameless candles that are on sale right now here on Amazon. You guys can be able to get for yourself. You will also see Dr. Velma's books in the carousel here on the Amazon side, but we are simulcasting our broadcast to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X. Make sure you guys do say hello. Would love to be able to see you. Dr. Velma, thank you so much for joining us in person.
I am so happy to be here, Cyrus. I have been working with Cyrus for 3 years now, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't working with an AI character. He's real.
Look, it's so funny. When she got off the elevator, she says, "You're real." Hey, Melissa, good to be able to see you. Melissa, I've been a very good host. Don't let her tell you differently. I forget little things like, do you need to use the bathroom? Do you need water? But I'm not used to that kind of stuff. I don't have a lot of people at my place. So, but other than that, I've been really good. We took some great pictures, so you guys will see those too. But Dr. Bam, I want to begin by saying thank you so much for joining us here in Los Angeles.
Appreciate it.
It feels great to be able to see you in person here. I want to talk about 2024. You've had a big year. You're ending 2024 on a big note. You have some surprises that are coming for your readers.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about this year. What has it been like for you to look at it, everything that's happened?
It's been amazing. I mean, aside from writing books, which is the way I started out, I started out with a podcast before writing books. Mm-hmm. And I've been so busy writing my books and getting involved in that and then expanding what I do now with a podcast. Mm-hmm. And then a second podcast coming out in 2025. I'm excited to release 4 books this month, in December.
Yeah. A lot going on. So I want to talk about, though, what you've been able to do, because you write nonfiction, you write fiction. We see some of the catch books here. I'm going to highlight up for those of you guys on the Amazon side, and I'm showing Dr. Velma how it works. How what will happen is I'm able to just go to your book and highlight it, and it features it for those on the Amazon side. So the Catch Book of Fools is the latest book in that series. That is the nonfiction. What has it been like for you, Dr. Velma, to share messages in fiction and nonfiction, and to see how people are responding, especially when it comes to love, marriage, and relationships?
It was shocking in the beginning because I was unsure of whether or not the book would resonate with people, especially the very first one. And again, I thought I was writing one novel. Mm-hmm. Here I am today, not only as an award-winning best-selling author, but I'm also a media personality, mm-hmm. a co-host of Words I Choose to Live By that airs on Mondays, and then my own 2 podcasts, as well as a certified dating and relationship coach. So besides being an ordained minister and all the other things I had going for me, I have a lot happening right now, and I'm excited about it.
You do. Have you been able to sit with those titles? You just rattled them off quite well, I have to say.
Oh, wow.
Media personality. She's a coach. She's a best-selling, international best-selling author. Mm-hmm. Have you gotten comfortable with identifying yourself with those titles?
Not really. You mentioned international. I forget to even mention that. So no, I haven't gotten comfortable with them yet. But I just try to be myself in everything I've been given to do and press forward. So I don't get caught up too much with the titles per se. I just do the job.
Yeah, that's how that's why we get along. I just do the job. Mm-hmm. Melissa says I was impressed. What were you impressed about, Melissa? The titles, or what were you? Tell me what you were impressed about. So along the way, you've met people literally around the world. Mm-hmm. That's the other side of this. Mm-hmm. Could you have imagined when you wrote what you thought were going to be one book that you would have? I mean, Dr. Velma, I don't know if you've heard her tell the story. She would be talking about these things when it comes to relationship, and she would have women going and put their phones up to be able to record her and what she was saying. Could you have imagined you would get that response from a younger audience?
No, but that just told me that the message was important to those that are coming up, because again, I talk about the fact that we have conversations around preparation for marriage. Well, we used to, but we don't anymore. And then the makeup of the family unit has changed. You don't have a father in the home, many of them. The father is absent. He played a pivotal role in helping his daughter discover the man of God that God wanted for her. But so that's all of those dynamics. And then we had this season where there were younger people moving into their 20s who said, I'm grown. I don't need anybody telling me what to do. And so they shut down wisdom. The people in your family, your grandma, your mom, your uncle, the older aunt, those people who can speak into your life some wisdom because they've already lived what you're trying to live. They shut all of that down. And so over time, it affected us. And it affected us really badly because we're making awful choices and we need to do better about it.
We do, and Dr. Velma and I have talked about on this platform, and even just in conversation, one of the reasons why I have such respect for marriage and understand the seriousness of it is because of exactly what you said, that there are so many people who treat it like entertainment. There's so many people who are so quick to give up on it. I never wanted to be one of those people, who just thought this is something to do for now because I'm bored, or I just don't. And there are some people I've met, no judgment, but they're in love with the idea of love, right?
That's the bottom line right there.
And I've never been one of those people, but I see it. What has it been like for you to have conversations with them, Dr. Velma, around the characters in the Catch series?
Because you just explained what my journey has been like, having conversations around the whole topic, witnessing mistakes, wishing that person would not leave so soon. Some people leave, like you said, they leave that relationship too soon. And then those who fall in love with the idea of marriage, basically marrying a stranger, and then becoming shocked when you discover something about the person that you should have discovered before you married them. And so it's just been an awful thing to witness. And then having the conversations, and I remember saying to some person about the pre-marriage counseling sessions that my husband and I used to do that really bugged me and worried me. And that is couples coming in. Now, they've gone past the time that you make a judgment in terms of whether or not this is the right person. Now they're preparing to walk down the aisle, but they come before you hoping you can help them fix a problem. But the real problem is they're trying to marry the wrong person. So we can't fix that. So it's very difficult to witness, but I knew there was something I needed to do about it. And I felt the best way to do that was to just share some of those experiences in those stories, those fictional stories. There's some truth in those fictional stories because I've seen it. And so that's what's important.
So true. Justin, hello to you. I see you over there on YouTube. Justin says hello to you as well. Hello. For those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching a special episode of Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm here in person with someone who I've been talking with for the past few years, Dr. Velma Bagby. She's here with me in Los Angeles as I'm here as he gets to know for some events and some great interviews. She, of course, told me she was coming to town, so I had to sit down with her. One, because I needed my selfie with her, and also I needed my book signed, because I have bought all these books. None of them are signed. It's not her fault. I bought them on Amazon, but now she's here. She's going to be inside by books. But we're talking with her about her 2024, what it's been like for her to do what she loves. And you mentioned two things, which are, for many people, they may be surprised, Dr. Velma, that podcasting is not really new to you. That was actually the introduction of your public life before books. So talk to us about Dr. Velma Talks. What has it been like for you to see the response to that and going back to how it all began for you?
It's been amazing. It's how I began. I thought that would be the best way to get the word out, like what I was talking about, just begin talking about some of the things that we were prepared for in marriage. Think about it. Back when I was in high school, we were taught financial literacy. We knew how to handle a checkbook. We knew how to manage our money. We knew how to balance a checkbook, everything that we needed to know about managing a household budget. We knew how to manage a home. We knew how to take care of children, all of that, how to cook, all of those life skills we were prepared for back in high school. And then the wisdom that we had within the home, all of that is gone. These life skills are no longer being taught in high school. And it's really important. High school or wherever it needs to be taught. It's just not being taught. Conversations around dating and marriage. I remember in the 10th grade, my Bible teacher at our church asked the young ladies in the class to create a husband to be prayer list. And I was thinking, I'm trying to graduate and go to college. Why are we creating a husband to be prayer list? I don't even date. At that time, I wasn't even. But she said it was important for you to have a vision for what you wanted God to send you. And so create the list, even though I had this crazy list, because when my list, I had a man 6 feet tall, because we had these fabulous basketball players in high school, and it was a great team, award-winning team. I said, okay, 6 feet. You know, we didn't know what to put on the list. She just said, put one. I said, okay, tall. Bold legs were popular. I said, okay, bold legs, God. And I remember standing and holding my husband's hand one day in prayer and thought about that crazy list that I created. And that's one of the reasons I teach women how to create a list that's an important list that has characteristics, positive qualities, but you also have to match that list. You can't expect him to have a list and you can't meet the list yourself.
Yeah.
And so holding my husband's hands, God and I have a wonderful laugh, because God has a sense of humor, you know, Cyrus. We hold hands and I look down while everybody else's eyes are closed. I'm looking down at my husband's feet and legs and say, God, you have a good sense of humor. I asked you for bow legs. You gave me slewed feet. I asked you for 6 feet. He's 5'9". That's close. So it's just a little fun that I have with God about his list versus my list. And I always remind people, we have a list, but he has a list also.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what it says though about you is that you're being willing to realize his list. I think so many people, and Dr. Velma writes about this in the series, about ignoring signs.
That's it.
We are so intent sometimes on what we want, we don't think about what God wants for us. Right. Kate Thurman, hello to you. I got a chance to meet Kate this year. So I've got a chance to meet some of the team. So Kate Thurman and I met in Atlanta the last time I was there in Atlanta. So I got to meet her in person. As again, for those tuning in, Dr. Velma and I meeting for the very first time. So you know I put it to work. Right through the door.
Check your DM, Melissa. I told you all about it.
But I just did what I do. This is what I know how to do. You know, this is it. This is my gift. But so I want to talk about the Finding Your Voice, because that's your new show.
Yes.
And I can tell you guys exclusively, I taped an episode with her recently. It was amazing. I'm excited about you guys being able to see it. Talk to us about Finding Your Voice and what you hope that show does for the audience.
I hope it does for the audience what I wished I had at the time that I started out. It was such an unknown world, the literary world. It's one thing to read books, but it's a whole different thing to have to understand the rules regarding writing an actual book. Whether it's nonfiction, it has its rules. Fiction, it has its rules. And then just understanding the whole process and making sure you're meeting the requirements that you have. I had no idea about sizes of books and what's appropriate. I didn't know anything about an ISBN number for the back of the book. All of that is involved in the process, and it takes getting to know that process. And I didn't have the kind of help I thought I would find in the literary field. And so I just read a lot of how-to books just to get myself familiar with it. And I purposely paid for the very first book I published. I paid a publishing company. They refer to them as boutique companies, but I needed to know and I needed to understand. So I watched their process as I moved through it. And so I did whatever I could to learn. So Finding Your Voice is that opportunity for those who may not know how to get started, who may be on the sidelines thinking of what they believe they're supposed to accomplish, but they don't know how to get there. They don't know how to begin. And for those who have been successful and maybe hit a rough patch and they're stuck and need to know, how did you get past it? Because people look at Cyrus Webb present, they look at Dr. Velma Talks and all of that and assume that we've achieved it and there were no bumps. But there were some bumps in the road. And so it's important for us to share that journey so that it could help somebody else along the way.
I'm so glad you said that, because I wasn't planning on talking about this, but this is a really good point. I think not only to share the journey, but to admit there's a journey. I think a lot of times, which is why on my journey, I've tried to share with people the challenges and all of that. Well, I talk about, being from Mississippi, being a country boy, growing up with a speech impediment, because there were things along the way that could have stopped me.
Right.
You know, people telling me you have no broadcast experience, you have no college education, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Yep.
But you have to be able to trust, I know from my experience, trust what God has given you,
Yep.
but also realize you have to do your part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's where that faith without works part comes in. How important has that been for you to remember in your career, Dr. Velma, in this chapter of your career? I should say you've had several careers, but in this chapter, about not only knowing what God can do,
Right.
but also trusting and doing your part.
Every step of the way. That's my Proverbs guiding principle, Proverbs 3. I remember learning that scripture 3, 5, and 6. But to me, verse 6 is the powerful part because it says, in all thy ways acknowledge him and he will direct thy path. Because the word acknowledge in the original language means invite in. God is not a bully that he's going to invite himself into anything that you're doing. But the moment you invite him in, he's there and he's going to guide you. And that is my principle. And when I say that God has a list and you have a list, I have to always consider what God has on his list. So I always check in to make sure he's guiding me. I invite him in to decisions. I talked to you about rebranding my business and all of that. And so I'm faced with, do I do it on my own or do I hire somebody to do that for me? So I'm seeking God now because somebody reached out that can help me get it done. So I still say, God, is this you? Is this you sending me the help? So I try to take that scripture and apply it in every decision that I have to make.
Love that.
Do I go and see Cyrus in LA? Do I drive the 3 hours? God, what do you say? Do I make sure this guy is an AI? I could have been paying an AI character for 3 years and he didn't. There was no Cyrus Webb. Right. But he's real.
I am real. Addie, hello to you. Good to be able to see you. Addie says, love to be here. Glad you could be here as well. Yeah, this is right. I am real. And I'm only one person. I want to say that too.
Yes.
I'm a real person. One person.
Yes.
Because my mom says that sometimes. How many of there? I know gave birth to one. But I don't know. Sometimes it seems like there's more, but it's just me. Dr. Velma, this has been great, but I do want to ask you before we wrap up, and before I get my book signed, before she drives 3 more hours to leave here.
To go back.
Yeah. I do want to ask you about your advice for others on a couple of different levels. First of all, as people are maybe they are thinking about marriage, maybe they are wondering if the one they're with is the one. What would you say to them about the lessons you share in your series that may help them?
Make sure you really examine the heart of the person. So many people fall in love with the idea of falling in love. We talked about that. The idea of marriage. Anybody can walk down the aisle, but have you really examined who this person is? And then for those who have not discovered that person and you're still looking, don't turn away from what doesn't look like your perfect idea of a mate. Because David was ruddy and smelling like sheep when he was invited to the party. And guess who God chose as the king? David. So what if he's in that position and he's busy because he's been working, or he doesn't look the part because he's been busy doing the job that he does? He may not be dressed right because he's dressed for the job he's doing. So be careful. So that would be one suggestion I would say. Always look at and make sure you're examining the heart of the person, which means you have to ask some hard questions before you start falling in love with the person. Ask the hard questions and get to know who they really are first.
Love that. Now, for those who are looking at their business and they're saying, you know what, I love doing this, like you were writing books, but now you stepped out, you started your podcast again, you started a new podcast. What would you say to someone who's wondering if they can handle something else? Because all of us only have 24 hours in a day. What would you say to them about that question of, okay, is it something I can really do?
Well, you want to always make sure, again, going back to Proverbs 3 and 6, invite God into the decision-making process, because as I was led to the publicist that I have now, and as things began to grow and evolve in what I do, the publicist was the one that was telling me, you know, you really need to do this, telling me what to do. And so I had to.
Okay. I don't think that's exactly how it went.
Let me rephrase it. He would make suggestions.
I would make suggestions.
So as he made these suggestions, I went back to God. I said, God, this is what you want me to do. It's that publicist you gave me that told me this is what I should be doing. So I always go take it back to God, and God always confirms, because I know that my publicist is God sent, and
Well, I
he has
appreciate
really
that.
helped me to evolve. And so with all the additional things I'm doing, I really am looking at my brand and looking at a title that will encompass all the new things that I'm doing now.
Well, thank you for saying that. Melissa's saying something that's not true, telling you what to do. We know. Melissa, I don't, no one will say, I don't, I make suggestions. It is always up to the person. I don't, come on now, Melissa, no one believes that
It
anyway.
depends. Watch the eyes when he says it. Watch the eyes. The eyes always tell you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so last question I want to ask you, and that is about, I made a video recently about, is this going to be a new year for you or another year? What is going to make 2025 a new year for Dr. Velma?
First of all, it's always a new year.
Uh-oh.
I always
There you
proclaim
go.
that.
That's what I'm talking
I
about.
don't wait until the new year to proclaim it. I start at least 30 to 45 days before it's time to go into prayer and fasting and making sure that I'm hearing what God wants me to do. So I want him to help me map it out and not wait until it arrives, because it's always new. And I look for the new.
That's what I'm talking about. I love that answer. She had that one ready, y'all.
It's
always new.
It's always
But
new.
you know what? That's the way. Unfortunately, not everyone's there, but that is the way it should be.
Yeah.
Again, everyone, Dr. Velma Bagby has been. See, it even goes fast in person. Time just
Wow,
flies
it does.
by.
It does.
But this is. Thank you so much for making the trip. It means a lot to me.
Mhm.
Dr. Velma is going home with some flameless candles that are on sale here on Amazon. I'm going to be showing those a little bit later for you guys. So make sure you guys do add those to your cart on the Amazon side. There's some great Black Friday deals, some other products we're going to be talking about as well. Dr. Velma, let them know, how can they stay connected with you?
You can always reach out to me by going to drvelmabagby.com, and please subscribe. Because look, I'm looking for more followers, as well as all the social media platforms. Find me as Dr. Velma Bagby, author, or Dr. Velma Bagby. Just Dr. Velma Bagby.
There you go. Chris Collier, hello to you. Good to be able to see you joining us from Atlanta. Chris says, hey, awesome people. You all are amazing.
Hey,
Cyrus
Chris.
and Dr. Velma. Melissa says this was awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa. Glad you could join us.
Thanks, Melissa.
And we thank all of you for tuning in on the Amazon side, as well as joining us on social media for this episode of Cyrus Webb Presents Live in Los Angeles. I like saying that. Live from Los Angeles.
Woo-hoo.
Until next time.
Cali Live.
There you go. There you go. I don't need any more titles, though, Doctor.
No. Okay. Okay, I'll keep that one.
Okay, yeah. I'll let you keep that one.
Okay.
Until next time, you all make it a great one. We will talk to you soon. Take
Bye.
care.